Hey folks, this is Caleb. Thanks for coming back to the Dust Bowl Catholic. Super excited today because I have a special episode for you this week, and it has something to do with this box right here that happens to say Ascension Press. Alright folks, so here's the deal. I got this box from Ascension Press knowing what was in it. And so, as you can see, I hadn't even opened it yet. I made sure to save it for y'all. I actually was in contact with somebody at Ascension Press and they sent me this. So, I'm trying to carefully cut that so I don't hurt what's inside. Put the knife away so nobody gets hurt. Open it up, pull all the goodness back. Oh, I see the words Catholic Bible. The packing says Ascension. And so here we go. And there we are, the Great Adventure Catholic Bible from Ascension Press. Alright, gotta get that box out of the way. Let's look a little closer at what's going on here. Open up the big box. Ooh, it's pretty. I do like that color blue. And yeah, still wrapped up. So we're looking at the box here, of course, Great Adventure Catholic Bible, as we said. We see the nice color coding that we're going to get to later. Here's all the features that are part of the Bible. There's timelines and all that good stuff. At the bottom, you'll see there's actually 2 ribbon markers. So that way, if you're reading both the Old Testament and the New Testament, you can have 2 different places. It says the Catholic version of the Bible, of course. There's another look at some of the colors involved on the back. Alright, so I had to get the knife back out so we could get the plastic off. I had to be strategic as to where I cut the thing. There we go. A little bit more because I have big old bear paws. Again, for safety's sake, put the knife away. And then we pull the plastic off. It's like Christmas morning here. You know, you're excited and you want it open, but you don't want to mess anything up, so you do it carefully. There we go. So as you can see, it's a very nice, supple leather, Catholic edition, revised standard from Ascension Press. And again, very supple. It's not like your hardback versions, the Douay reams you'll see a lot of times. Very well put together. It looks to me like a solid piece of leather instead of the bonded leather that you see in a lot of places. Now, one of the cool things is this is not a cheap Bible. I believe it retails for $59.99, but it's set up as if you were going to create a family Bible. You have a place for where it's presented to, and then for family things that go on there. Baptisms, births, marriages, things like that. And then they'll go on further here. A little further in there, of course, the Great Adventure Bible. So, of course, the Great Adventure, as we'll see later is the timeline that goes on here. the interesting part of this Bible is that it actually has two sets of imprimaturs and nihil obstats. So one for the original, for the Revised Standard, back in the 60s, I believe. Then the second one is, no kidding, July of 2018. Here's your books of the Bible in order as they are presented. And then on the following page, we have them in alphabetical order. So if you know the name but don't know where it is in sequence, then there you go. This page is important here. So you have all the extras, the index for the key maps and key events, but these are the books of the Bible that are not in the Protestant Bible. Okay. As you go along, you've got maps they put in there, which were always my favorites growing up as a kid. I would always turn to the back and look at the maps. But the key events, these are really cool because it tells you exactly, well, where is that in the Bible? Well, here you go. You know, you've got things like Pentecost and Annunciation and the rise and fall of man, Adam and Eve in the garden, Abraham, Moses, all that good stuff. And then it talks about some of the color coding that is really the key to this Bible. So we're talking about a chronology. So there's a lot of philosophy and things like that in the Bible. But if you wanted just the timeline for the story, this Bible is set up to read the story. And hence why it's called the Adventure Bible. It is a story. And you'll see, it also has a 3-month reading program to where you can read the entire story of the Bible. Okay. Month 1, month 2, month 3, where you go through all the books that create the story that is the Bible. Of course, ending with, Acts and the book of Revelation. So as you're flipping through, it's very good quality. The paper's nice. It talks about church teachings here, recommended resources. So there's a Second Vatican Council documents, Catechism of the Catholic Church, and also an encyclical from Benedict XVI. And here's where we see the first part of the color coding. This blue color here is the early world, as they talk about there, going from just one couple, Adam and Eve, to one holy family around the time of Noah. And then you have, in plain words, what is going on here before you ever get to the text. Okay. There's also some additional reading on the covenants that God did with his people. And as you see, this is where we're going. It all starts here, and you can see the symbols that are used throughout the Bible and the colors that are used as well as you move along the timeline to the fulfillment of the covenants and the establishment of the church. So there again, you see the blue. It corresponds back with this blue. So you know where you are, in the chronology, depending on what color is at the top or at the edge of your page. You also see the key event here. We're talking about things that are going on. And when necessary, you have references to the Catechism of the Catholic Church as we go along. You see progress along from the blue to the red. Again, another key event here. And then talking about the covenants. Covenants are key throughout the Old and the New Testament because they represent promises that God made to us, and then how they are fulfilled. So we're making, there's the supplemental information here where different things were fulfilled, different promises and covenants. So again, as we go along, you have these color codes, and they're key to how this Bible is used. You can, if you're looking for a quick reference guide, you can see along the edge of the pages the different colors. So here we get to the New Testament and the supplemental readings that are provided there as well, also with Catechism of the Catholic Church references. There's some historical timelines that are mentioned in here as well, referring to the rulers of the time. And so again, back to this color coding. It works. It's actually very nice, very succinct, easy way to look at things. You'll notice the red words. Those are the words of Christ, the red versus the black. The words of Christ are in red. Okay, and you'll find those in all the Gospels, of course, because those are actual quotations of our Lord as you go along. And then you find them again a little bit later in not only in the Gospels, but you'll find them in the book of Acts. And so here again we're talking about the covenant that God promised, and there's references back to the Old Testament as to where it was first instituted and what it parallels to. Again, words of Christ are in red. Through key events. So the key events, I have to stop here and kind of tell you, if you go back to the front, you'll find the list of key events. And here we go. So you have this list of key events, and it goes all the way from the beginning all the way to the end. But you'll find things like what we just found there, key event number 63, where Jesus gave his mother to the church. Here we are where the church was begun in the book of Acts. You have first, second, third wave of evangelization. And you go from Rome to the entire world. You have some more narrative here that kind of explains things, puts them in context. There's some rulers that are called out, Caesar and Nero, just to give you a timeline and historical reference. Again, back to key events. Pentecost. If you've ever want to know where Pentecost is, here we go. And, it's a way to show Protestants, hey, yes, our stuff is in the Bible. Here we are in the book of Acts, and you'll see some red stuff here. It's where Paul was called, and Jesus actually talked to Paul on the road to Emmaus. And then again here in Revelation, you'll see some more red because it is God talking to us. So here we get to the back, a couple of pages for notes, but the maps, okay? When I was little, I loved grabbing the Bibles and looking at the maps in the back because it gives you an idea of things, and you can, pull up Google Maps and put them right next to each other. So if you're reading about Abraham, here's the map you're going to use, the journey of Abraham. Here's the book of Exodus, the wanderings in the desert of the Israelites. The 12 tribes of Israel. Here's when Israel was reunited under King Solomon and what it looked like. And then after King Solomon died, it was divided yet again into 2 different kingdoms. Some more context. Here's the Babylonian Empire and the Assyrian Empire. This would be, say, the book of Daniel. It was huge there. There's Nineveh for the book of Jonah. And then you also have the Persian Empire. So if you've seen, say, the movie 300 or something like that, you see the Persians. That's what they're talking about, the empire that they had then. Of course, you have the Greeks. And then the Romans. And the Romans, of course, at the time of Christ, controlled what was then the entire world. Or at least what they thought was the entire world. This is some cool stuff here. Palestine in the time of Jesus looks a little bit different still, but you have your regional conflicts. There's Nazareth. On the opposite page is a map of Jerusalem at the time of Jesus. There's the tomb in Golgotha where the crucifixion actually occurred. And then over to the east is the Mount of Olives and the Garden of Gethsemane where the Passion starts. And then you have Paul's missionary journeys. Paul took 4 in total and was all over the place. Most of the New Testament was written by Paul, so that makes sense. This one is very interesting here. So important cities of the New Testament. So you see Philippi, Thessalonica, Corinth, the island of Patmos. That's where John was when he wrote the book of Revelation. So you see all these different cities going on here. And then here's Antioch, where Paul was on his way and was called. So overall, beautiful Bible. I'm happy that Ascension Press gave it to us to try out. Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed our unboxing and initial review of the Great Adventure Bible with Ascension Press. Go out there and pick you one up because us Catholics could probably use a little Bible reading, even though we get it every Sunday in big ways. So be sure to click down below. There's a link where you can buy one of these Bibles. Also, give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe for us. That lets us know that we're doing things right. And as always, come back next week. We'll see you next time on the Dust Bowl Catholic.